Dhanyavad, Speaker Sir. I thank all the members who've participated in this discussion. Even at the beginning, I went into the bit of details about what this bill proposed to bring. It is certainly trying to get one authority which will be a single sort of window to take care of the financial center which is being established in Gandhinagar. Sorry, sir, I'm taking a bit of a minute to gather my papers. About 21 honorable members spoke on this bill. And a lot of you all have gone into great details. I'll try as much as possible answering each one with their specific references, but many of what has been raised by several members are covered in the general answer given for one member may also equally apply for the other members. So kindly, I seek your indulgence if I don't name each one of you all for those respective answers. So I'll just go back for a minute to say the establishment of a financial center exclusively, like the way you establish an IT park or the way in which you establish a particular manufacturing park and so on, a financial exclusive SEZ was proposed, and I, with a bit of an emphasis, would like to say the clearance for such a SEZ exclusively for financial purpose was given not in 2015, as many of you all have quoted. Yes, in 2015, a notification and also a proposal in the Parliament came through speaking about how regulators will issue notification for the functioning of those institutions in Gift City. But the application was made by the state, Gujarat, for setting up an SEZ exclusively for financial services, even in 2011. And that permission was given by the then Commerce Ministry under the UPA government. And at that time, pardon me if I sound a bit sarcastic, it wasn't questioned as to why are you going to a state with prohibition? No. प्रोहिबिशन जिस स्टेट में है वहां फाइनेंशियल हब को ले जाने में कहां आएंगे लोग, तब क्यों आया नहीं आपके दिमाग में? 2011 में परमिशन कॉमर्स मिनिस्ट्री के द्वारा ये एससीजेड सेटअप करने के लिए गांधीनगर में सेटअप करने के लिए जब गुजरात की सरकार पहुंचे दिल्ली, परमिशन दिया गया तब की कॉमर्स मिनिस्ट्री से, तब प्रोहिबिशन के बारे में सोचने था, नहीं सोचे। और उससे पहले मैं ये भी बोलना चाह रही हूं, सरकास्टिकली समझो, सॉरी इफ इट साउंड सरकास्टिकली, गुजरात में कांग्रेस की सरकार तब से थे, कितने साल थे, अरे इंडस्ट्री नहीं आएगा, इन्वेस्टमेंट नहीं आएगा, प्रोहिबिशन को हटा दो महात्मा गांधी के राज्य से, आपको अधिकार था सोचने के लिए। अब ये सब आ रही सोच, अरे रे इंटरनेशनल फाइनेंशियल सेंटर लाइक सिंगापुर, लाइक लंदन, it doesn't have, free availability of liquor. Let's take it a bit more serious when you're putting an argument, sir. I want to appeal to you. The permission for setting up this SEZ was not given after NDA under Modi came into power. 2011 it was when it got permitted. The Commerce Ministry then had given the permission. So let's take that in our stride. So the notification for the GIFT City as a financial services center was given in 2011. Post which, of course, a lot of discussions took place. And again, even as I'm saying this, I would want to underline this fact that nothing stops anybody else applying. Every state, like they would apply for setting up an SEZ, and seek the Commerce Ministry's also assistance to say, yes, this can be set up, land is acquired, infrastructure is ready, center gives the permission for one more SEZ. If the states want to apply, they can. So I'll go one by one on those. It's not as if somebody from center now under the NDA with the Prime Minister Modi is giving it to Gujarat. But appreciate the fact that he was the first mover as a chief minister of Gujarat to think futuristically and say India needs a financial hub which is going to match up with London or Singapore or any other financial center, created that SEZ, applied to the center, got it cleared, invested, and also made sure that it meets global standards. So I would appeal to members to understand that it is not a gift being given now. As a Chief Minister of Gujarat, the Honorable Chief Minister of then Gujarat, now Prime Minister, gifted it to his state for the people of Gujarat, and therefore it's now standing there. And today, whatever is being done is because we need to have a sense of pride also to make sure that we create international class institutions. Nothing stops any other state from applying, nothing stops any other state from investing, nothing stops any other states from giving incentive and seeking, to build an international hub. So let us remove that misconception that it is now, sorry, I'll have to check that up, Professor. So if that's the way in which we would like to lay this fact about the GIFT City. So as I said, let me reiterate for clarity's sake, the GIFT Special Economic Zone, which is the Gandhinagar International Financial Center, was permitted by the Ministry of Commerce and Industry on 18th August 2011 for setting up the IFSC at Gandhinagar, Gujarat. And then what happened in 2015, where all of us think that it was in 2015 that it was set up after Prime Minister became Prime Minister? Actually, in 2015, in the budget speech, the then Finance Minister had very clearly said that the first phase of GIFT as an international finance center would soon become a reality. So once the conception, the permission, and everything else was obtained in 2011, the first phase commencement was what was got announced in 2015 in the budget. So leading many of us to think that it was then it was set up. No, it was the first phase which was part of the Finance Minister's announcement. Then, of course, 2016, I just want to trace very quickly the entire background. 2016, competitive tax regimes were announced by IFSC. Exemptions were provided in 2017. And 2017 also saw a tie-up with Singapore International Arbitration Center for dispute resolution mechanism to be set up. And then in 2017, the starting of an international exchange happened in 17. Several banking units came in there. Insurance entities also reached there. Then in 2018, announcement for setting up a unified regulator for IFSC was announced then. We are seeing the bill for it now. Additional tax reforms were also announced in 2018. Then 19 also saw quite a few announcements. Announcement to set up aircraft leasing and financing activities there in IFSC. Then 19 also saw 13 banks, 19 insurance firms, and around 50 capital market entities licensed in the IFSC. So IFSC authority bill comes now. So this is how I'd like to trace this entire activity of the IFSC. So it's not suddenly that we've chosen to give it to one particular state. I think I've sort of answered this question about why Gandhinagar, but I'd like to now quote a reply given by the then finance minister in this house in response to a question which is very similar to the question Supriya ji has asked about why not Mumbai, why not BKC, Professor asked and many others also asked. Huh? BKC is the other name for Bandra Kurla complex, Professor. Huh? Yeah. BKC, Kolkata. I was surprised that Professor Saugata Roy was more asking for Mumbai, Bombay Kurla Center and not Kolkata. You're all right with that? Huh? Did he? Ah. So I was, no, that's all right. But you were more keen to quote that rather than ask for it in Kolkata. All right, which of course will now get negative. Oh, I'm sorry. Thank you. I don't think I need judgmental comments, sir. If sarcasm has been thrown at me, so shall I, with the permission of the chair. Thank you, ma'am. Yeah. Each time I do qualify myself for that. Sarcasm with sarcasm, sir. Thank you. Sir, I'd like to quote the then finance minister. And I'm doing an English translation of what he said, not reading the Hindi, although the Hindi is with me here. Speaker, sir, I'm quoting here. Speaker, sir, there is no direct relation to the question, meaning why not elsewhere. But I can say to the Honorable MP, I'm quoting Shri Arun Jaitley, who had said this in the House, that there is a limit to how many such international financial centers can be set up. There's of course not one. That's not the part of the quote. This is because the first GIFT city is already under development in Gandhinagar, Gujarat. Firstly, we have to utilize fully that one, then we can think of another. The government of Maharashtra is requesting again and again that such IFSC should be made in BKC, Mumbai. But if we make more, then we can't utilize the existing one fully. Therefore, we should first optimally utilize GIFT city, and then we can think further on this issue. This was a statement in response to a question made by Shri Arun Jaitley on 22nd December 2017. So that partly probably answers the questions that there is no limitation. In the sense, states can apply, and if they want to set up more, they can. But at the moment, sorry?
Why did you not give permission when you were the Commerce Minister? In 2017, why
yes.
did you give permission?
Has this answer not given you an answer for that question, sir? I'll read it again if you wish. I'll read it again, sir, if you wish.
No need, he has to understand. He is unable to understand.
I'm reading this answer again. Speaker, sir, there is no direct relation to the question, but I can say to the honorable member that there is a limit to how many such international financial center can be set up. This is because the first GIFT city is already under development in Gandhinagar, Gujarat. Firstly, we have to utilize fully that one, then we can think of another. The government of Maharashtra is requesting again and again that such IFSC should be made in the BKC, Mumbai. But if we make more, then we can't utilize the existing one fully. Therefore, we should first optimally utilize GIFT city, and then we can think further on this issue. This is unquote. This is his reply.
पहले गांधीनगर को यूटिलाइज करेंगे फिर आगे क्या करो
ठीक है. But I've explained the process. See, all that I want to highlight is, as I said, if the states invest and if, like any other SEZ, they apply for it and they want us to consider, no, let me finish. That's also partly addressed in that answer, Supriya ji. But I'm trying to further to answer your question specifically that the provisions allow for setting up more IFSCs. The provisions allow, Professor, you've been keen to get this answer. The provisions allow for setting up more IFSCs. The rationale why a second was not immediately considered was explained by my predecessor, and I've quoted that. That's the factual position. So it's, nothing says that there can't be a second, but the answer given at that time in 17 was to say we need to optimally utilize. That's where it. Well, I can't say I don't represent the Commerce Ministry, all right? So, I move to the broader point of what exactly is the infrastructure. The total area of the GIFT city is 886 acres, and the GIFT city is divided into two zones. One is domestic zone, which is spread over 625 acres, and the other is the SEZ IFSC zone, which is spread over 261 acres. This IFSC second half is a multi-service SEZ with International Financial Services Approval Center, and IFSC houses several services SEZ units. It also houses the financial service units under the IFSC umbrella, regulated by RBI, SEBI, IRDA, PFRD, and so on. So now what we want to do is to get one authority which can oversee all these operations. That doesn't mean that the regulators and their independence and the power that they enjoy now is getting undermined. In as much as having to take care or supervise and regulate activities in the IFSC, they become single window. But that doesn't undermine the power of the RBI or SEBI or other authorities which are anyway functioning as the way they have functioned all the while. It is only for this they all become one instead of people having to run to several authorities to ask for clearances. Now, as I explained before, states have to seek permission to set up an international IFSC, and they have to approach the Department of Commerce. All this remains, nothing has changed. But however, there were quite a few members who said, will the CAG check up what happens? The IFSC, just for clarity's sake, is a company with less than 51% of government equity, about which a lot of you all have raised in connection with the ILFS. I will explain that too. I'll explain that too. The authority will be subject to CAG, will be subject to CVC, oversights, all of them will apply on the authority. MOF, the Ministry of Finance, is responsible for regulating financial transactions of the IFSC, and the authority, of course, will be an independent one. It's not as if the central government is taking all the authority and controlling them. They shall be an independent body. Referring to the Percy Mystery report, Supriya ji, you spoke about the GDP growth, which was, it has to be more than 10% for it. And also the government debt will have to be reduced. Yes, the committee recommended that about 8 to 10% growth. If it can be sustained, it will be better for this institution. India is definitely growing, and I don't think a blip in a quarter, I'm not undermining the challenges. Immediately, I do not want that to be interpreted like that. But that need not be a dampener for setting up an institution of this kind, which takes a long gestation to come to fruition. It also did recommend lowering public debt. And I take this opportunity to say the public debt to GDP of the central government today is showing a reducing trend from 52.2% in 2013-14 to 49.4% in 2018-19. So debt is coming down. And have we done a cost-benefit analysis? Obviously, for a big venture like this, as I said, I started my initial remarks by saying that the committee had even then, in 2008, recognized that the loss to the country by 2015 of those fees, financial services fees going out of the country, would be much more than 50 billion. And if we want to get that back, and how do we get that back? Because most of them pertain to companies which are Indian companies. They are going out for seeking those services. So we have to save that money from going out of this country only and only if we have something which is going to meet the requirements of people who are seeking such services. And therefore, it is important. We are amending 14 acts. Shri N.K. Premchandranji spoke about that. We are amending, and that is required because all the regulators, RBI, SEBI, IRDA, all of them do refer to various acts when they have to perform their duty as regulators. The Reserve Bank of India, when dealing with institutions of this nature, at least invokes 7 different acts. And therefore, that is why in this bill, we have shown the different acts which also will have a collateral implication of this bill, and as a result, they will have to be changed, amended. So 7 which relate to RBI, 3 which relate to SEBI, 3 which relate to the Insurance Regulatory Development Authority, and 1 which relates to Pension Fund Regulatory and Development Authority, are all now being, at least in some aspects, amended. I've not finished your particular reference, which you read out. Yeah, the specific question that you asked me about the clause 31, there are several precedents, Premchandranji. It's like clause 49 of the SEZ Act of 2005. These are powers which are made, or powers which are being referred only because you want to make ease of functioning, not violating anything to do with the sovereign authority of the Parliament. So these are not blank carte blanche, which the House is giving us when you're passing this. Earlier in the SEZ Act, the government has done this, and we're not doing anything violative of the established practices. There was a member, Sri Venkatesan, who asked in Tamil that there are 14 acts being taken up, ED, CBI, CAG would not question. No, that's not true. All law of the land will apply to this area. There is no law which is being kept away. ED, PMLA, CBI would all continue to apply. The CAG would audit the authority. And the 14 acts which are being amended is only amended because the authority needs to be empowered. Otherwise, you're going to have people having to go to 8, 9 different institutions to establish their units in these areas. And therefore, it was more from the point of facilitating rather than taking away the powers. Prevention of Money Laundering Act, Kaushalendra Kumarji asked, which forms the basis of all KYC And client due diligence measures in India is applicable to the GIFT City. So every money laundering related measure which the government takes will be fully taken even in the IFC. I think broadly I have addressed, except for this question of ILFS and also this issue of, is it going to become a tax haven? Not at all. Because tax holiday is given for IFSC only for 10 years. And that is in line with the policy adopted under the SEZ policy of Government of India. So if you didn't have this fear about SEZ anywhere else for any other functioning, you needn't have it for this one also. So all laws being applicable and a tax holiday is only with a sunset clause. I think this suspicion that might end up being a tax haven need not be in our minds. And as regards ILFS, first of all, there is a very clear attempt to resolve the crisis of ILFS with the government-appointed board, which I think some other time we can get into the detail. But it is a fact that it is nearing some kind of a resolution. But I'm not speaking for Government of Gujarat. But I've seen reports where the Government of Gujarat has very clearly said that they are making efforts to ensure that that component in this body, where Government of Gujarat owns shares and this ILFS has also got a hold, ILFS's part will be probably some way Government of Gujarat would want to take it over in the context of the difficulties which are being faced by ILFS. So it's not as if it's doomed, it's not as if it's collapsing. Everybody there is quite seized of it. We are also monitoring the situation. And this worry, oh, the CEO has quit. No, I'm sorry. GIFT City CEO was the nominee of the ILFS. And therefore, after the crisis came out, the ILFS, he had to quit. Former Secretary, Ministry of Corporate Affairs, Sri Tapan Ray, is now the CEO. So let's not have this fear, oh, somebody's quit, he's left and gone, so the whole place is gone. No, no. Morally right thing was done because he had to quit as he was a nominee of the ILFS. So now who's appointed is now appointed by the Gujarat government. So I think broadly most issues have been addressed. About the PRC, the Performance Regulatory Committee, a lot of members have spoken saying, oh, it's all internal, it's all, you looking at whatever is happening. This follows best global practices. A two-member committee looking into what is happening inside is one of the ways in which performance is monitored, and that's following best practices which prevail globally, nothing otherwise. So thank you very much, sir, for having allowed me to give the explanation.
अब छोड़ो आपका
अध्यक्ष महोदय,
आपका ज्ञान सभी में मानते हैं, छोड़ो। प्रश्न है कि विधेयक पर विचार किया
नहीं,
जाए।
बस दो छोटे छोटे क्वेश्चन है सर। ये बड़ा फार रीचिंग लेजिस्लेशन है, लेकिन जो कंसर्न है सर कि अभी जो एक्सटर्नल कमर्शियल बोरोविंग या री इंश्योरेंस या एफडीआई जो भी आता है, उसके रेगुलेटर उसको रेगुलेट करते हैं। और यदि ये सारा अधिकार हम उसमें देंगे तो रेगुलेटर और उनके बीच में जो लड़ाई होगी उसका मैकेनिज्म क्या होगा, ये मंत्री को बताना चाहिए। दूसरा सवाल बड़ा इंपॉर्टेंट है सर, इन्होंने कहा कि ये टैक्स हॉलीडे एसईजेड में इन्होंने 10 साल के लिए दिया है। मान लीजिए कि आज ये गिफ्ट सिटी में इन्होंने एसईजेड बनाया है और देश में उदाहरण है कि एसईजेड वो डीटीए में कन्वर्ट हो जाता है, तो 10 साल के बाद वो डीटीए बन जाएगा और उसी की सारी संस्थाएं, मान लीजिए बीकेसी में कोई लाइसेंस आपने दिया तो बीकेसी चला जाएगा, कोलकाता चला जाएगा, सेम कंपनी 10 साल यहां टैक्स हॉलीडे लेगी, 10 साल बंबई में लेगी, 10 साल कलकत्ता में लेगी। इसके रोकने के लिए इस सरकार ने क्या उपाय किया है इस बिल में, ये दो चीज शायद बता दें तो मुझे लगता है एक बड़ी कृपा हो।
जवाब देना माननीय मंत्री जी।
सेकेंड पॉइंट तो मेंबर का मैं सुझाव के नाते ले लेती हूँ। और ऑन द फर्स्ट पॉइंट, every overseas borrowing is regulated by the authorities. And if there are activities happening here, they will obviously be going through the regulator who is all present there. And therefore, GIFT City's treatment for overseas borrowing, being a bonded area of a special economic zone, will also be regulated. It doesn't mean that regulators don't function there. We've unified all of them so that there is a single window, but regulators will work even there.